All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's a JP?
Yep, that's JP Slade.
With me right now, who's our driving instructor, who's
Hair to the right.
showing me the line through these
And back to the left, just a little. That's straight right there.
whoop-de-doos. And I have to say, I've been lucky enough to drive every Range Rover product off-road. That includes the Evoque, the Range Rover, now the Range Rover Sport, and of course the LR4. And it's amazing, JP, just how much technology and air suspension can make these cars do things that 99% of the people who buy them will never use them for.
It's come a long way since 1969.
There's a new button here called Auto, right?
Yep, and what that does for us is takes the guesswork out of it for your average individual who's never been off-roading before. Still have the manual mode where you can select each of these terrain responses. We have grass, gravel, snow, mud and ruts, sand mode, and rock crawl mode. Right now we are in the auto terrain response mode, and if we go to the screen here, you'll be able to see auto terrain response selected. When we come to a stop the next time, we can press this information button and we'll get a little. You see how it says optimizing?
Yes, so it's reading the terrain and
yep,
doing
through all the environmental inputs into the vehicle, whether it's wheel articulation, wheel speed, whether you're on an incline or a decline. It's picking up on all these senses, as you were, and
picking the best possible traction, getting the power. Now we've got the supercharged V8, which puts out 510 horsepower, and we really need only about 50 of that right now, right?
If that,
yeah, because we're just kind of
we're just going to be basically a medium walking speed. That way, we really allow the suspension to fulfill its design function.
Now, one of the options that this car does have is the optional rear locking differential. There's a center locking differential.
Yep, and again, we can see how that center and rear differential are engaging
and disengaging when it needs it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it is quite amazing that you can take a vehicle that weighs 5,000 pounds and
less.
5,000. This one's 5,000. We checked.
Yeah, 5,037.
Very good. Thank you.
As I recall.
You're right, and make it crawl up these very steep. And on video, it's hard to show how something is steep, but these are very steep hills, and I should know because I'm covered in dirt because I just went tumbling down one.
Well, what goes down must go back up at some point. So
and it is amazing what this can do. Having said that, this is relatively, I would say, on a scale of 1 to 10, this is probably a 5 in terms of how rough off-road can get. Right, there's no boulders, there are no drop-offs, there's no water, which makes things muddy and slippery. So the car is doing a lot of the work, but then again, you could get a lot rougher, and I'm sure you've been in a lot worse.
Yeah.
Now with the air suspension, it does get up to just under 11 inches. I believe it's 10.9 inches of ground clearance. Yeah, which is phenomenal for a vehicle that's going to be going down the expensive boulevards of Hollywood most of its life.
Well, as soon as we went into low range, I don't know if you noticed, but it raised the vehicle up into its highest mode
and its tippy toes.
Off-road, so that maximizes the angle of approach and departure. It's those two angles combined that determine what kind of slope you can go up or come down without making a trip to the parts department to try and get a deal on the new bumper.
Now, if you were in a Defender, obviously, you'd have a lot of underbody cladding. Does this have underbody cladding?
There are some
the important bits.
The important bits have some protection under there,
but it's not like a Jeep Rubicon, right?
No.
Where you've got complete
it's not
skid plates,
it's not
armored. Yeah. Which is fine because we're mostly in loose dirt, so we're not, I don't think, in danger of tearing anything out of the bottom of this, even if we do hit some of these little whoop-de-doos. So you've been doing this for your whole life, haven't you?
Yep.
And you've seen a lot of changes.
Well, in 1969, my dad and associated with, they took the original 2 Range Rovers from the factory, the first 2 ever built by hand,
Yes?
out to the Sahara Desert to do hot water testing. There's actually I think if you do a search on YouTube, it's called Sahara South, and it's quite the little time capsule. It was the end of the 60s there. It was a
Different era.
era.
I can really feel the magic going on underneath me. You know, I could feel it really working hard to find where the traction is.
Well, when you look at this, our 4x4 info screen down
Yes.
here, you can see at times you'll see the little orange rectangle there below the wheel. That's when that wheel is fully drooped or dropped.
Here, you got to show that. I can't show it. Here, so I'm driving, so you go ahead and show that. There you go. Don't put your hand on the there you go, like that. Thank you very much.
Okay, so now you can see the suspension at work.
Yep.
And here's the center differential lock, rear differential lock. And remembering, it's kind of like a clutch pack of 5 discs, or clutch of 5. I screwed that up.
That's all right. Don't worry, you can edit it. It's like a clutch.
I'm editing on the move. It's like 5 clutches in a pack. And if you'd imagine a tuning fork on the back of that clutch pack, it's infinitely variable. And in each of these terrain response settings, we can alter the rate at which those diffs are applied according to the terrain.
So there are, I believe, 4 Land Rover / Range Rover schools in North America, right?
There's one in Montebello in Canada, and then
3 in the U.S.
3 in the US. There's one.
And you take people out in these things, and you teach them how to do this kind of stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, do I have hill descent control engaged?
Yes, you do.
Okay,
You
so
can see again on this little screen
I see,
here,
yeah.
the green. It's also duplicated. All the information is duplicated.
So now we got this very steep hill.
Let's go to first gear.
Okay, how do you go to first?
Click it over to the left.
Click it over and go down?
Yep,
Down.
there.
Go forward.
Forward is down.
Yeah, so that's first gear. Okay, so now it's going to do all the braking for me because this is a pretty steep hill.
A hair to the right, just a hair. That's more than a hair.
Sorry?
A hair back to the left. There we go. Hair is
Yes, sorry.
very fractional.
I have thick hair. Nobody was hurt in that moment of trauma. No $93,000 Range Rover was scratched, so in case you're worried. The good thing is we got the cameras going, so if we do roll it off this hill, we'll have good video. And that'll be a really good YouTube video, by the way.
Yeah.
That'll be more interesting than us crawling along.
We'll see if we're talking about airbags on the way down.
That's right. We'll see how they deploy. I'm going to 2 now to give us a little bit more speed because it's a little bit easier. So let me ask you this. Why do you think that Range Rover continues to make these cars so off-road capable? Because obviously most people aren't going to do this in the Range Rover.
That's part of our heritage. It's and Land Rover is one of the only car manufacturers or vehicle manufacturers who's only ever built 4x4s.
Yeah, and Jeep.
And Jeep.
Yeah. So it's part of the DNA of the brand.
Well, they make 2-wheel drive vehicles.
They do, yeah.
So that we can.
You can get them off. You can check them off. Jeep, are you listening? Stop making those 2-wheel drive vehicles if you want to compete with these guys. You got to stay with the 4x4s. So, like I said, I've been fortunate enough to drive every model in the entire lineup off-road, and I'm always amazed at how capable these are. But having said that, and I'm going to be completely honest, there's just nothing that beats having traditional lockers, having a much higher approach and departure angle, having the kind of stuff that's old school 4x4 versus all this technology. Now, this technology is wonderful, it's magical, it's amazing what this vehicle will do, a 5,000-pound vehicle that's climbing up these hills, but at the same time, I'm extremely nervous driving this through here because I know that I have a $93,000 vehicle and that if I take a step wrong, I'm going to do some very expensive damage. And that's where I'm a little concerned because obviously people aren't going to do this, but when you do it, you feel like you're, I don't know, you got this beautiful car that is pristine, and chances are if you rub a tree with it or if you rub a rock with it, you're doing some serious damage to it. And that's where I have a hard time with it. I just feel like it doesn't belong out here, even though it can be out here. Does that make sense?
Well, really, you're talking about a breadth of capability there.
All right, gang, it's hard to show how steep something is when you're using a video camera, but this is crazy steep because look, I just took a massive tumble just trying to walk up this hill that the Range Rover had no issues going up or down on. Let me show you. That's the hill below me, right there. Let me spin it up. And that's the hill above me. Now I know that doesn't look steep, but trust me, it's steep and I'm dirty and I'm luckily uninjured and I'm having fun. So yeah, I'm impressed by this new Range Rover Sport. America! God bless it, America! And you know what? America as well, because 75% of the Tundra is made in America, in Texas to be more specific. But you may be wondering, where's the Chevy? Well, we're still waiting for GM to provide us with one that can be tested. So Chevy, call me. We've got 2 American trucks and a half, and we're still waiting.